on Kabul. Asif said in an ex-post that Pakistan had hoped for peace in Afghanistan after the withdrawal of NATO forces in 2021 and expected the Taliban, which seized power in the country, to focus on the welfare of the Afghan people and regional stability. The escalation comes months after Qatar and Turkey mediated a ceasefire between the two sides. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for today with a high in the low 60s. Winds out of the southwest increased around 15 to 20 miles per hour, gusting as high as 40. Tonight, partly cloudy and a low near 31. By Saturday, a slight chance for some snow here late. Partial sunshine develops, high of 38 degrees. And Sunday, partial sunshine, a high around 32. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 32.
Knock, knock, Capital One Bank guy.
Wow, Charles Barkley?
I just moved into the neighborhood. Can I borrow some Wi-Fi?
Yeah, sure, Chuck. That's what the Capital One Cafe is here for. Open 7 days a week at most locations.
Oh, can I use your ATM? My dog walker only takes cash.
Anything for a neighbor.
Can I try the catchphrase?
Sure, take it for a spin.
There's no fees or minimums on Capital One checking accounts.
Nice, Chuck. I'll take it from here. Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Visit CapitalOne.com/bankguide for details. Capital One, N.A. member FDIC.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Hey, good Friday morning, progressives. Welcome to the January 27th edition of Choose Views. Yes, 27th, 2026 edition. There you go. I knew I had to break that up a little bit so I wouldn't mess up. 773-763-9278 is the number. Catch us on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and, of course, YouTube. You can email me at richard@WCPT820.com and follow me on all the socials, X, Instagram, Substack, Spoutable, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, and even LinkedIn. I get some interesting comments, Henry, when I post, and I have it on my LinkedIn account. Because LinkedIn has been viewed by so many people for such a long time as sort of this business social media space, and to a great extent, I would agree. So I post there because I want to see, what people have to say on this so-called business platform. And it's interesting. I do get a lot of likes and thumbs ups and stuff like that. And occasionally a person will say something along the lines of, especially if I post something that is tied to a business event. They didn't know that there was this sort of thread of things that had happened in the sort of political world that's affecting some of the decisions made in the business world that they live in. So it's kind of an interesting place to be, and I like posting on LinkedIn as well. So you can follow me on all those places, but definitely LinkedIn has been one really eye-opening for me. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views, featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Driving it home with Patty Vasquez. I just love saying that. Driving it home with Patty Vasquez. I almost said it's the big picture. That would have been cool, Edwin. It's the Democracy Stupid with Edwin Eisendrath, who will be hanging out with everybody on Saturday from 1 to 4. Out Chicago and our other great shows and interviews that we have on our wonderful platform. Make your way over to heartlandsignal.com so you can check out some of the cool things that are there. A couple of quick posts that you guys want to check out. Fetterman criticizing Ilhan Omar about her pushing back when Donald Trump made, and Rashida Tlaib, when he made derogatory, nasty statements about people of that community. I think she did the right thing. It was her, she needed to, in many cases, more people are asking, why didn't more Democrats have something to say? But I'm not criticizing necessarily. I'm just, the observation. But, Fetterman is definitely been a real disappointment. That's all I can call him right now. So check out the interview that, or the clip of the interview that he did with Casey Hunt on CNN. And some Representative Summer Lee, we've got a clip on that, but we won't be able to get to it today. But boy, oh boy, oh boy, Democrat from Pennsylvania, she really goes in hard on Pam Bondi and how she is, basically playing consigliere to Donald Trump with Epstein and the Epstein files. So check that out over at our heartlandsignal.com website so that you can hang out and share. It's Black History Month's last day of broadcast. This is the last day of Black History Month in terms of broadcast, even though tomorrow's the last day of the month, technically. So we'll share some things with you in a little bit. Today's show, Karen Byrne will be with us in studio, which is exciting. Can't wait for her to roll in. We're going to have some fun and chat about a lot of things. Jody Hamilton and Shawn Smith Peirce will be on with us in the 7 o'clock hour, and that's going to be fun. Jody and Shawn host a show, The Politics Bar, which is broadcast here on WCPT, and that is always a lot of fun. So we'll be yucking it up a little bit, but hopefully covering and talking about some important things. And then Professor Kevin Schultz, who is the author of the book, Why Everyone Hates White Liberals, including white liberals. We're going to talk a little bit about history. We're going to talk a little bit about one of the projects that he's put together, which I think is really cool in terms of how we're probably a lot more connected than we really recognize sometimes because of the divisiveness that's going on in our political world. But Karen will be with us, TruBlu Politics Podcast, as you know. Shawn Smith Peirce and Jody Hamilton of the Politics Bar, and Professor Kevin Schultz will be hanging out with us in the 7:30 hour. Do we have that clip ready? Cool. Got a clip for you guys. It's one of the last couple that we're going to have to play here in Black History Month, and then I'm going to come back and ask you guys a little bit of a question that we'll try to meld into today's show. Check this out, Progressive.
My grandmother, Eunice Johnson, created Ebony Fashion Fair, and now I'm following in her own steps by creating my own beauty brand, Beach Beauty. My name's Alexa Rice, and I'm so excited to bring you on this journey as we get closer to launch, which will be this spring. Or I'd say my love of beauty and fashion grew organically from my grandmother and my mother as well. As a Black woman entrepreneur, I am so grateful to have someone as incredible and pioneering as my grandmother to look up to and to take inspiration from whether that be her business acumen that she passed down, her creativity that I got, and watching her pick colors and pick the clothes. And she, like myself, was definitely a maximalist. Hence why in my brand, Beach Beauty, you will see bright colors, bold lips, really fun sweatshirts. These are launching soon too. Get excited. This is just the beginning. There's a lot to come. We're starting with lip gloss. I cannot wait to show you all of the shades. I have been buried in lip gloss for, I'd say, the past year and a half, testing formulas, testing colors, testing the look and feel. To stay up to date with our launch, go to beachbeauty.com, BEECH beauty.com, and sign up for the newsletter so you can be sure to know when we launch.
So the reason that I kind of wanted to save this clip for today, the Johnson family is basically one of the families that changed what the Johnson family did in Ebony Fashion Fair. It changed the way that an entire community looked at themselves. And even though Fashion Fair was primarily directed toward Black women and women of color, specifically Black women, it also changed the way that I believe the world looked at Black people. As pretty, as beautiful, as someone you wanted to be around. You didn't have to be afraid to be standing close to or next to a Black person, a brown-skinned person. And to me, the reason that resonates is, and I was so fortunate to find this clip, is because that's oftentimes what is the thing that people hate about black folks. They don't want to be next to them. They don't want to be close to them, in a room with them. It might rub off. And so I'll tell you a part of my black history that stays with me and has for my entire life, because it happened when I was really young. And when I came across this, I thought, wow, what a great clip to come across. And I know she's talking about her business, but she's also talking about what her grandmother did to really change the way that black people looked at themselves. Black women particularly, specifically, but also black men, because black men saw the beauty in black women, which for so many decades had been presented as something awful. So black men started to see themselves better and differently, and largely because of what Ebony Fashion Fair did. So what's my little moment that stayed with me about how I look, how I'm presented to the society that I walk in every day in this costume? I was in kindergarten, Henry. I was for years, I was one of 4 black kids in my entire school system, kindergarten to 12th grade. By the time I graduated, there were 9. Okay. So I remember in kindergarten, we had been doing art and painting stuff. And I remember going to the sink in class to all of us washing our hands. And one of my little classmates said to me, "It doesn't rub off." Because it's the first time he had, seen a black boy wash his hands. And so the brown didn't rub off. And he said it out loud. It doesn't rub off. So if you imagine at 5 years old having that, but not understanding kind of maybe not really what it meant, but it didn't rub off. And so I take that and I look at over the years, my black history moments have always been about it doesn't rub off. It's with me until the day that, the universe says, okay, we're pulling your number. And it's a weird sort of pride that I got from that moment that I think about all the time. It doesn't rub off. It's the thing that I get to carry with me for the rest of my life. And it's probably the thing that as a black person, it makes me the most proud, is that I don't have to run from it. I don't have to be shy of it, afraid of it, in denial of it, any of those things that as life has gone by and women like Mrs. Johnson were able to show that it doesn't rub off. And it's something to be proud of. And that's true for black women and black men. So when I think about black history, for me, I think about that moment because it was a seminal moment as a 5-year-old that it doesn't rub off. And rather than run from it or be embarrassed by it or ashamed of it, to be proud of it. And so Mrs. Johnson, who I had the chance to meet about 6 years later, they built a house across the street from our house, ironically. I got to see her, and meet members of the family. And, this was Ebony Fashion Fair. So, but it was still Mrs. Johnson across the street. Right, Henry? Yeah. It was one of those times where you go, okay, I get to be proud of this, and speak strongly about it. So, just wanted to note that on this last day of broadcast, if you will, in terms of Black History Month. And I also want to thank everybody, particularly the guys here in the studio, for helping us pull together the clips that we've had during the month. And I promise you I'd try to have one every day or have a moment every day. And today it's been a little bit longer moment because it's not meant to be about me specifically, but about all of us. And please take this message, all of us. If you're black or if you're Hispanic or Latino or Mexican or Asian or any other colors of the rainbow, my Caucasian brothers and sisters, all of us, we deserve to hold our heads high in this crazy, divisive political time that we're in. There is one thing that we can do and that's to hold our heads high in honor of each other. We must do that. The divisiveness that is coming from this White House and this administration and so many of the other political operatives and social operatives and business operatives is about dividing us and having us turn on each other. And we cannot allow that to happen. We have another clip that we're not going to play this morning because of time, but it's one where Minister Louis Farrakhan talks about something that I've said for years. And it's the moment that the leaders of the day, and this is true now, decide to pull together the people, the everyday folk. When that happens, the first thing that the opposition does is it tries to get us to turn on each other and to be divisive. I watched it as I was growing up. I still say to this day that the reason that Medgar and Malcolm and Martin and JFK and Bobby were all assassinated is because they were pulling together the different parts of this fabric. Ultimately, when they were starting to come together and they woke up from the dream, if you will, that's when they became that superbly dangerous threat, irrespective of who was in the White House. It was when the people came together, and these leaders all had that in common. So I say now, on this February 27, 2026, our superpower is us coming together, staying together, fighting this regime together, and making absolutely certain that we do not allow them to divide us. I promise you, that's what the winning ticket is. Let's take a quick break, Henry. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Robin Kelly grew up behind the register in her dad's grocery store. So she knows what it means when the same groceries cost more each week. Under Donald Trump, corporations get tax breaks, loopholes, and a green light to price gouge. Families get higher grocery bills, higher childcare costs, high healthcare premiums. It's Trump's economy. Corporate profits first, people last. In Congress, Robin Kelly's been fighting back. Robin took on insurance companies to lower drug costs. She wrote the law extending Medicaid for new moms to a full year because cutting care after 60 days was just wrong. And now Robin Kelly is running for Senate with a people over profits agenda. Medicare for all, so healthcare isn't a ripoff. Cap on childcare costs so families can work. And crack down on corporate price gouging so you're not punished at every turn. People over profits. Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate.
I'm Robin Kelly, Democrat running for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Robin Kelly for Senate.
WCPT replay.
The professor of political science and women's and gender studies at Brooklyn College and the graduate center of the City University of New York and author of Sex Is As Sex Does, Governing Transgender Identity. Yeah, Paisley Curra.
When we're talking about transgender, I know it's a very big blanket umbrella statement, but when we're in this subject matter, how will we define it?
When it comes to transgender athletes, the policies basically address the people's transition in relation to hormone levels, or the policies that the sports associations are addressing. The legislation that the Republicans have passed are just about whether someone is transgender or not, and that anybody who's transgender is just automatically, in much of this legislation, barred from participating. So the sports associations are have a much more sophisticated approach in terms of looking at making sure that that the policies are as inclusive as possible and no one has an unfair advantage.
Listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us on this February 27, 2026. And as always, shout out to Henry and shout out to Mike for keeping us on the rails. A couple of quick Choose Views news items this morning. U.S. companies gearing up for a lengthy tariff refund fight. We said it was possibly coming. I want governors to do the same thing, but more than 1,800 companies have sued to get tariff refunds, according to the new Wall Street Journal analysis. Businesses including FedEx, Costco are hoping to claw back $130 billion that they paid since the duties were announced last April. But getting a refund could take far longer than that. Part of the problem is that the companies are getting widely varied advice, with some being told to sit tight until the legal wrangling is done, others preparing multiple lawsuits. Most preparing the fight could last for years. Once again, Trump administration screwing the companies, screwing the American people. Weekly jobless claims inch up as the job market is stagnating. Applications for jobless benefits ticked up to about 4,000 last week as the labor market lingers in low hire or low fire state. The Labor Department said yesterday that 212,000 Americans filed for unemployment benefits in the week ending February 21st, slightly below the economists' expectations. Despite a number of major layoffs in recent weeks, job cuts have remained at relatively healthy levels, according to the AP. Salesforce gives a tepid review forecasts of their AI fears. Salesforce reported its fastest revenue growth in 2 years in the fourth quarter, up 12% over last year, the previous year. The outlook for 2027's fiscal year is slightly that they may miss expectations, sending shares downward after hours of trading. And investors are very wary that the AI disruption in software will be a problem for Salesforce's customer service offerings. eBay is laying off about 800 people in their latest round of extensive cuts. They announced yesterday that they're eliminating about 6% of its full-time workforce in its third large round of layoffs since 2023. The cuts come just days after eBay acquired Depop from Etsy for $1.2 billion in a move geared towards Gen Z-friendly secondhand fashion. Last but not least, Instagram's launching a teen safety notification for parents, which I fully agree with this. They will soon have parent alerts if teen users repeatedly search the app for terms related to suicide, self-harm. The company said yesterday, and the parental notification feature will roll out next week in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom, as parent company Meta finds itself on the defensive in multiple trials relating to child safety. Both parents and teenagers must opt into the feature, which does not include conversations with Meta AI tools. Good work. A little past due, but I know that some of the testimony that Zuckerberg went through recently kind of pushed that conversation, pushed that narrative. And I think it's an extremely smart thing. All right. For my listeners in North Carolina, and I'm going to make sure I cover this one real quickly. Don't miss the Building Bridges Fireside Chat. It's a free event that I will be co-hosting with North Carolina's Democratic Party Chair Anderson Clayton. That's taking place on Sunday, March 1st, 2 days from now, and also 2 days before the state's Democratic Party primary. We'll be joined by North Carolina State Reps Rodney Peirce and Dante Pittman, along with Pastor James Gaillard, candidate for North Carolina State Senate, and Durham Mayor Leo Williams for an open conversation with North Carolina voters. The event takes place at the Word Tabernacle Church in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, this Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. To register, go to heartlandsignal.com, click on my picture. That'll take you to my show page where you'll find information about the event and a registration link, or visit ncdp.org and click on the Building Bridges tab at the top of the site. We'll see you there. That's going to be fun. Looking forward to hanging out with those guys and doing everything we can to make sure that North Carolina has a strong state legislature, most certainly, because that's the foundation of their politics there. But also, whatever we can do to prop up a good, strong Democratic mayor, helping with their potential, not potential, but the run of Roy Cooper, even though he's not going to be with us. But talking about the importance of having that Senate seat be moved in the direction of the Democrats on a federal level. So we're going to do everything we can. I'm going to do everything I can to push that narrative. And this is what we'll be doing throughout the country when the opportunity presents itself, in these weeks to come is to make sure that we have the people in place in these locations, in these states. I said this, a while back, that we have to do everything we can to prop up state races, but also local races. We know where we are with the federal races. Those are the ones that oftentimes get more of the attention. But I say that right now, some of the best opportunities are for us in the state legislative races that are run, and we've been doing a great job. We just have to keep that momentum going. So I'm looking forward to being with Anderson and the folks in North Carolina to do the best we can to push them to the top and get them through. So we're excited about that. We've had some successes, so let's keep the train going. When we come back, I'm going to put this out real quickly. We've got some clips we'll probably get to, but I also want to put this out there for you guys on this 27th and last broadcast day of Black History Month from this show. If you have a Black History moment of your own, and that doesn't mean you have to be Black to have a Black History moment. It is American history, y'all, as we say, and I believe that in all my heart. But if you've got one that you want to share, something that you learned that you didn't know, or something that you observed and you're like, wow, or if you went to a city, you were traveling, and you went someplace and you saw a plaque or something, whatever it might be. I'm just giving you some things to think about that may be in the back of your mind, and you're like, oh yeah. Give us a quick holler this morning in the 6:30 to 7 hour. I'd love to chat with you about that. You can throw us a quick text either way. But I'd like to hear from you guys. If you have your own, kind of Black History moment, you got your own thing that you experienced, or someone that shared with you, let us know. I think on this day, that this is a good day to kind of do that. But we'll take a quick break. The number, of course, is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'll be hanging out with them this weekend. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Raise the bar on performance and style in a brand new Porsche from the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Browse and test drive our extensive selection, like the 2026 Porsche Macan. Right now, lease the 2026 Macan for only $949 a month for 39 months. Discover performance like no other when you visit the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. 8,519 due signing for qualified buyers. Excludes tax, title, license, and doc fee. No security deposit required. Expires 3/2/26.
Here's a tale of Tina searching up and down for decent GLP-1s, but got spun around.
Till Good RX wrote in, hey, we got something new. GLP-1 prescriptions, all FDA approved.
Brand name meds, no flags that are red.
Clear pricing from the start. None of those hidden fees in your cart.
Delivered to your door or pick up same day. Darn tootin'.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Hot put it to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A dense fog advisory remains in effect. High temperatures reach up to 62, with fog in spots early today under mainly sunny skies. Winds out of the southwest 10 to 20 miles per hour. Mainly clear again tonight, lows around 31. A dusting of snow tomorrow with another 1 to 2 inches Sunday night. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently 32.
Would it be crazy if you packed your bags and left for a week, a month, a year? What if you left for 2 years? What if you were going far away to help in a village on the edge of the Gobi Desert, to teach children and learn a thing or two about yourself? Would that be crazy? Peace Corps. Life is calling. How far will you go?
Volunteering is an opportunity to make a huge difference.
I'm a part of the solution.
Do you want to make a difference? If you volunteer, you can. Making a difference for you, your community, and your country. Join America's Volunteers.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
This is Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. 773-763-9278. So yeah, if you've got a Black History moment or occurrence or an event, we want to take a little bit of time and chat about that. But let me take care of a couple things here real quickly. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be taking your calls the first half of the show. Then talking to Out Chicago host Scott Duff and film critic Rebecca Ford with their regular look at current TV and movies. That'll be fun. And Joseph Herka, lecturer in English at Tufts University, an author of the award-winning memoir, Fields of Light. A son remembers his heroic father. Live, Local, and Progressive weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, AM 820, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. Tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will talk about early crisis intervention with Jesse Rojo and Gabriela Guzman. Then be joined by AFS intercultural volunteer Vicki Rogers. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 here on WCPT AM 820, WCPT AM 820, and Heartland Signal website. Tune in and YouTube as well as Facebook. Tomorrow is Saturday, and it's The Democracy Stupid with Edwin Eisendrath. Will be airing from 1 to 4, of course. Ian Gary, Executive Director of Fact Coalition, legal journalist Adam Klasfeld, Mark Jacob, publisher of the Stop the Press's Substack page, Mika Rosenberg, investigative reporter on ProPublica's national desk, focusing on immigration. It's The Democracy Stupid. Saturdays 1 to 4 here on WCPT. And then on Monday of next week, you guys will want to tune in. You heard me talk the last few weeks about our town hall in North Carolina, rather. So you'll want to tune in for the special broadcast of my North Carolina town hall that I'm hosting with Anderson Clayton. As you know, we'll be joined by state reps Dante Pittman, Rodney Peirce, state Senate candidate James Gaillard, Mayor Leo Williams. And I'll be back on Tuesday, and we'll just keep the ball going. So there you go. We'll be talking with Anderson Clayton, State Representative Kim Dubliquet. And then Wednesday, Mayor Brandon Johnson will be with us in studio. So what can I tell you? We got a lot going on. Turn into all of our shows. Listen live. You can, of course, listen live in the mornings here. You can catch our shows by going to our podcast. All that good stuff. It happens right here on WCPT. I moved away from the mic. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to sound like I was in a tunnel. Let's grab. We've got some folks that have their Black History moment. My goodness. Let's go to Russ in Des Plaines. Good morning, Russ, and welcome to Chew's Views.
Well, good morning to you. But way before you were born, I had my black incident. I was an 8-year-old boy in 1959. Got it?
Yep.
You know, I'm an old man now, 75. But I'm just saying, Lulu, the only black person I knew was a little child, and she on the far northwest side. You're talking 100% white, right?
Uh-huh.
And we had a cleaning lady, Lulu, that came from way on the south side. I think she had to take 3 buses. It took her like over an hour and a half. It took her an hour and 15 minutes, whatever, to communicate, right? And my dad paid her for her transportation, whatever she wanted to eat in the refrigerator, whatever it was, gave her $20 for the day. I'm going back in 1959.
Right.
But anyway, she come in with my little Russ. It's the only black lady, the only black person I ever known. But she loved me. She was with my little sugar. I loved her. And then all of a sudden, there was a fire in the house, and she was there on that day. And all the neighbors were there. They just, yeah, that black woman. Something, she did it. Something happened there. What's that? What's that? You know, the N-word or whatever. And as a little boy, I remember that. And I says, I love Lulu. What the hell are they talking about her that way, you know?
You know, Russ, Russ, those stories, and that's the reason why I kind of opened it up to you guys today, because I want to hear your stories as much as anybody else's, because you as our listeners are a big part of our support system.
Now, wait a minute. My mother and father were not racist at all. They had the black woman coming there. So, in other words, the neighbors are going, what's that,
Yeah.
coming there in our neighborhood?
I get it.
See, my folks weren't that way, and I wasn't that way, And then I fast forward, the only other time growing up on the Northwest Side, I'm talking about Harlem and Foster. Okay?
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar
Oh,
with
yeah,
that.
very, very familiar.
Okay. But anyway, back in that day, next time I had any dealings with blacks were when I went in the military, and all of a sudden they're like, there's going to be no discrimination here and blah, blah, blah. So I was open to all that. And I got along with the black guys, I gave them a high five. I did whatever with them, and they dug me. And you know what? There were times where I had altercations with them, like whatever they said. I said, this is bullshit, whatever, But you know what? We get along.
Yeah. There you go. Hey, Russ, thanks for the call, man. Thanks for bringing us back in history. We appreciate you. Stay safe and have a great weekend.
All right.
All right. Let's see who we're going to grab next. Mike, what you got? All right, let's go to Cassandra in Oak Park. Cassandra, Cassie, good morning.
Good morning. It's been a moment. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to hear your cheerful, energetic voice. How you doing?
I've been doing good. I recently retired, as I told Mike. And my moment of Black history has been more so complacency. Because in the work environment, I was a web systems analyst, which meant I supported the website for a local community college. And I had been there for 20 years. I'd say like the first 10 years or so, we would do a Black History banner every month, and we would have imagery. And it never dawned on me until we got a Black AVP of Communications. We were always rolling out the same images. Frederick Douglass, Mary Clark Methuen, it would just be the same images. But everybody was fine with it, right? And then all of a sudden it hit me. It's like, wait a minute, we've had a Black president. We've got Black, notoriety with science community and things like that. And so I took it to the communications guy because he worked in tandem with our office. And he's like, you're right. So sends it back to marketing. They said what they were going to do is roll out new images once a week. That lasted all of 1 week. And we ended up with a graphic to this day for Black History Month that has the colors that represents Black history.
Yeah.
And so all it is now is the banner says Black History Month. So they did the graphic, and they did the same with women's history too, because again, they pull out the same old images, and nobody had an issue with it, and nobody pushed back on it. But once the pushback came, I think we had Barack Obama up for all of 1 week, and it was a collage because it would be him and some other people, and we were going to rotate. Lasted 1 week. Well, it was just like at that point. Then I was just my heels were dug in, and I'll quickly say that last.
Well, okay, all right.
Year,
were they some pumps or were they low heels?
The kind that would hurt.
There you go.
And then more recently, last year, one individual, because we had the diversity committee. And they changed their name to Heritage Committee, and then they turned it over to a person who was not Black, and that's okay because I think the history is for everyone.
Right.
So this person decided, I'm going to do a calendar, and each day is going to represent a Black person. One of the individuals was Mahatma Gandhi, and I'm like, excuse me, this is not a Black person. This is not a Black person.
That's where diversity gets things going sideways.
Yes. And then they had W.E.B. Du Bois, and I said, again, and the person's comeback was, well, I didn't know about W.E.B. Du Bois. I said, well, every Black person, every Black kid learned about it in third grade. I'm sorry for you. And so I say, here are some suggestions. I didn't just complain or make a pushback. I said, here's what you could use instead. Reluctantly, the person did. But the other more interesting thing was the links were to miniature videos, like on YouTube or whatever, maybe interviews and stuff.
Right.
And so I asked her, I said, have you looked at any of these videos? And she said, no.
Wow.
And so it was more like performative than like truly intending to educate not only herself but others.
Yeah.
And I the respect factor went straight out the window. And I'm just like, this is what we're fighting. We're fighting the complacency. And they're giving themselves a pat on the back. See, we've got a banner up. And sadly, even this month, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have anything up because the one white person who did it happened to be on maternity leave. And I'm like, next man up. You know, who's the next person?
It's interesting, Cassandra. I think the larger lens on this, in my interpretation of the celebration of community, is oftentimes, and it's true, it's most dominantly true with Black history, but it's true with our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. It's true with our Native American brothers and sisters, and the list goes on, our Latino brothers and sisters, that celebrating, you know that people get an issue with it when there are people that are saying, why don't we have a White History Month? Okay.
Which is the default all year.
Right. So that's why I pushed hard on Black history is American history, because it is, other than our Native American brothers and sisters, it's the culture that has been here the longest that wasn't born here but was brought here. So, people understand what that means. But Cassandra, thanks for reminding us about complacency. Is the attempt to speak to it is one thing, but sticking with it is another. And so I appreciate you reminding us of that. And it's good to hear your voice on this Friday morning.
I try and tune in, but I'm going to be honest, not having to have the alarm clock on, I'm like, oh, wait, it's 7:30. Did I miss Richard? So I'm trying to still hang in there.
Cassie, listen, let me say this, I'm going to let you go. You've earned the right to not turn on the damn alarm clock. So I take no offense to that. You catch the show when you can catch it. You talk about it all the time, and I appreciate when you send us a text and you remind me of something. I appreciate that more than you can imagine. So thank you, as always, for your contribution, and kudos to you for a well-earned retirement. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for the programming.
Absolutely.
And thanks for the time.
You got it, Cassie. Have a great day and a nice weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. I don't know if I connected her and Karen or not, but Karen will speak to that because they both are in Oak Park. Let's take a quick break, guys. We got some more calls, but we'll take a quick break. 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back. Taking calls.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code READY to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code READY to borrow up to $10,000. Use code READY to borrow up to $10,000.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are enjoying some of the Black History moments from you guys. So let's grab Andre here in Chicago. Good morning, Andre. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning to you, Mr. Chew. Happy Friday to you.
You too, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well, considering all the circumstances surrounding us and our democracy. So I'm doing well.
There you go.
But so I just wanted to add a little something for Black History and want to talk about Miss Carter. You know, Eunice Hunting Carter.
Yep.
Yeah, Eunice Hunting. Yeah, you know, the black attorney down there that was very instrumental in getting building a case against Lucky Luciano.
Yep.
And she hardly ever gets talked about, and I think she kind of paved the way for like Letitia James and for the other girl, his name that was down there that was handling that case. So we do have pioneers, and sometimes we forget our pioneers.
Yeah, we do.
And they should be remembered and not think like, okay, this just happened today when it's been a long going process. But Mr. Chew, I got an opinion. I want to share my opinion with you, and I've had this for the longest. And I want to talk with you about it because I've been looking at the testifying of Hillary Clinton yesterday and the testifying of Pam Bondi and so forth, right? So this is what I'd like. I'd like for them to make it illegal or forbidden for any elected official and politician to write books, because we are paying their salary, and that means that they're withholding information, and then they turn around and sell it back to us in a book. Pam Bondi should not be allowed to write any books, especially on this FD case, and if she do, all the proceeds should be demanded to go to those victims. But this is what happened, like James Comer down there over there, Oversight Committee. These guys like to stir up stuff to write books. So we can cut down on some of that corruption if we make it illegal for the likes of like Pam Bondi and people in those sensitive positions like attorney generals and presidents, all that stuff, to write books, because they're withholding information from the public.
That is, I'm just going to say that's great. But the last couple of sentences that you said speak to the reasoning as to why, because they know that they stir up some stuff that they're going to have the ability to write about that which they stirred up. So it's a great point, Andre, and really well received. And that's one of the things that we, here's what so much of this is based on, whether it's the Electoral College or lobbying or folks writing books and all the rest. We have to get back in power. We have to take power back. I'll share this with you guys, and laugh at me if you need to. But one of the things that I think about a lot, and one of my, I guess you could say, universal prayers, is that we as progressive liberal Democrats do the work to take back all areas of leadership and political power. And I guess I say that unapologetically because we get stuff done better than they do. We just do. And, not looking for perfection. We're looking for better, and that tends to be what we end up getting when we have the right people in place and more of them in more offices. So that's how we fix that, Andre. That's how we get to that point of saying, okay, you all can't trade, you all can't write books, you all can't lobby. We have to get folks back in power. So there you go.
Well, you're absolutely right, Mr. Chew. And the Democrats have always came, like in a B movie, they came and saved the day. And Bill Clinton, once he on to testify, he ought to say, well, it was me that left a $5 trillion surplus and balanced budget, and it was a Republican who squandered it on going after Saddam Hussein.
There you go. Andre, thanks, brother, for calling and letting us know reminding us about Miss Carter and her legal acumen. She was a heavyweight. Talk to you soon, man. Have a great weekend. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andre. Sorry we didn't mean to cut you off. Andre's always bringing it. He's such a thoughtful guy. He really is. Let's grab a call on line 2. Let's go to, that was Andre. We're going to Andrew. Andrew, Detroit. How you rolling, man? Good morning.
Good morning, Richard. Happy Black History Month.
Thank you, sir.
First, let me say my thank yous. Send thank yous out to yourself for letting me on this morning, and for Mike for taking the calls, and all the other staff that keep your show running, and all the fine businesses that keep your show and your station on the air.
Thank you, sir. What you got for us this morning in Black History Month?
Black History Month. The best thing that I think happened out of COVID was that we were at home in front of our televisions. And the education that we got on Black history and the Black community was phenomenal, if not horribly, horribly sad. I never knew about the bombing of the Tulsa Black Financial District until COVID. I never knew. Well, there we were watching over and over again the murder of Rodney King in Minnesota. And then we got to watch all the Black Lives Matters marches during that period. So COVID, as horrible as it was a wonderful eye-opener for me. And driving around in Detroit for the longest time, I would see Black Lives Matter signs, of course, but I don't see them anymore.
Yeah.
And Black lives still matter and always will matter. And I think they should also put up signs about Black history. As you say, Black history is American history. I don't need a White History Month. We've got that in high school. I've had it all my damn life. But Washington, D.C. was built on the backs of the blacks. Men, women, children, those buildings were built on their backs. That's as much their city as anybody else's city.
Well, you know, the thing that I try to stay focused on with this is that it is truly Black history is American history. And every corner you turn, you will find something that has impacted your life. I mean, what Andre said a moment ago, Lucky Luciano might not have been found guilty in all that the government was able to put together were it not for Miss Carter, who was a black woman attorney. And she did pave the path for so many, not just Black attorneys, but white attorneys as well, white women attorneys. That's American history, y'all. You just can't get away from it. And you shouldn't. But at the end of the day, you know, we have to keep in the fight. Andrew, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. We're going to try to squeeze a couple more in before we get to the top of the hour. Thanks for the call, Andrew. Stay safe, my man.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's go to John. Can we go to John? And okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, John. Welcome to the show. Let's try to squeeze you in real quick before we get to a break.
Yeah. A long time ago, I was driving a van around LAX airport to shuttle passengers, and one of the sidewalk coordinators really knew what the heck he was doing out there, and I respected him because I was a newbie. And one day we were walking down the street, and his feet were bad. We were walking in the next doorway, and I did a stupid thing, and afterwards I realized. But at the time, I said to him, well, dang, whatever, I forgot his name. Why are you hobbling so bad? He said, I just got bad feet. And he's hobbling. And I said, well, any worse than that, you're going to have to walk on your hands. And he glared at me for a second. And I looked at him with a, what? Look. And then he put his dander down, realizing that I didn't mean anything by it.
Right. I know.
And, whoa. And I just said, oh, at the time. But this guy was smart enough to know I was just a dumb, ignorant white boy.
Well, you made a statement with no harm in it, but it was a statement that was a lot of because of your environment and the things that you were fed and that you saw, whether it be consciously or subconsciously. You said something that is something that people out of ignorance will say, but the real opportunity in this moment, John, is that one, he didn't take your head off. He recognized that you stepped out. You stepped out in traffic inadvertently, and he snatched you back in from getting run over. But for you, what hopefully that did is you recognize that I have to be mindful of the things that I say. And just because it may have been common for me to have heard them or be around them, I can't repeat certain things. And it also puts the onus on you, frankly, to call other people out when you hear something that's said that's racial, racist, or sexist, or biased.
Well,
it causes, do you know what I mean?
Sure. And one thing I want to say is that Melina Abdullah is fine here in L.A., so she's still doing her thing, even though BLM isn't totally active.
Got it.
And I won't say power to the people only. I'll say control to the people.
Right on. John, thanks for the call, man. We got to bounce. Appreciate you giving us a holler. Have a great day. All right. Let's take a quick break. Let's do that. 773-763-9278 is a number. We got a lot going on this next hour, guys. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we will be right back.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait. And don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-780-3599. 800-780-3599. 800-780-3599.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Amazon Business empowers leaders with smart business buying tools, leaving time to focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future at AmazonBusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Former President Bill Clinton will testify today in a House investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton testified yesterday, telling members of Congress she had no knowledge of Epstein's or Ghislaine Maxwell's crimes. Meanwhile, AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports on a new probe into disgraced former ambassador Peter Mandelson's business dealings.
The European Commission has asked its anti-fraud watchdog, OLAF, to examine Peter Mandelson's links to Jeffrey Epstein during a period when he was the EU's trade chief. A Commission official confirmed the probe on Thursday after many documents became public. The watchdog agency has a track record of probing fraud and misconduct across EU institutions, but it does not confirm an investigation. Mandelson faces scrutiny in Britain over alleged misconduct in public office tied to Epstein. His past relationship with Epstein also creates political trouble for Prime Minister Keir Starmer. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Federal immigration authorities arrested a Columbia University student yesterday, triggering protests on campus and allegations they gained entry to the university-owned residence by posing as police officers searching for a missing child. But hours later, Eli Agayev was released after an apparent intervention by President Trump. In a social media post, Mayor Zoran Mamdani says he expressed concerns about the arrest during an unrelated meeting with Trump, who then agreed to release her immediately. In other news, Pakistan's defense minister says its country is in open war with Afghanistan after both countries launched cross-border attacks. Tensions have been high between the neighbors for months. Border clashes in October killed dozens of soldiers, civilians, and suspected militants. More information at apnews.com. This is AP News. Netflix is walking away from its offer to buy Warner Bros. Discovery studio and streaming business. Warner's board announced that Skydance owned Paramount's latest offer was superior to the agreement it had previously struck with Netflix. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports that an AI company is rebuffing the Pentagon's demands.
Earlier this week, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave the maker of the AI chatbot Claude an ultimatum: open its artificial intelligence technology for unrestricted military use by Friday or risk losing its government contract. But CEO Dario Amodei says Anthropic cannot in good conscience accede to the Pentagon's demands. He says the company's not walking away from negotiations, but new contract language made virtually no progress on preventing Claude's use for mass surveillance of Americans or in fully autonomous weapons. The Pentagon says it has no interest in using AI for those purposes.
I'm Marcela Sanchez.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A dense fog advisory remains in effect. High temperatures reach up to 62, with fog in spots early today under mainly sunny skies. Winds out of the southwest 10 to 20 miles per hour. Mainly clear again tonight, lows around 31. A dusting of snow tomorrow with another 1 to 2 inches Sunday night. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, 31.
Hi, this is Pat Hines, candidate for Cook County Assessor. I've spent 30 years working in property tax assessments, serving taxpayers like you. We need a Cook County Assessor who will give you reliable and on-time property tax bills. This job requires professionalism, not politics. I'm Pat Hines, candidate for Cook County Assessor. I ask for your vote on or before March 17th.
This ad was paid for by Hines for Assessor.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Richard Chu's got his eyes on the truth. And you're right where you need to be. This is Chu's Views.
Ha 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 ha. Man, I've had Christmas twice this week. I really have. I've had Christmas twice this week with the folks that I've had on the show, and I'm just thrilled. Obviously, it's Friday, and we have our great friend Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics Podcast in studio hanging out with us, laughing and chuckling and all that. And then, this is just the best. It's Christmas, y'all. I'm hanging out with some folks that just make my day. They make me smile and just feel real good. Who am I talking about? I said earlier in the show, Shawn, Smith, Peirce, and Jody Hamilton are hanging out with us from the Politics Bar. How much better could it be? I may as well just sit down. Welcome, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Richard. And good morning, Karen.
Hey, good morning. Hi, Karen. Hi.
Look at this, Jody. We're waking up with Karen, and we're going to end our day with Karen.
We are.
So.
Yeah, you didn't say. You could have said that a different way.
I could have said that. Look, I was trying to be real polite because I know we're on. We're in your show in the morning, and people just waking up and be like, "What?"
It is live radio, and with all the streaming and all that, that's great. But it is live radio, so we do have to.
There's no alcohol involved here, or is there?
Yeah.
Jody, I did say something earlier in the week, Jody, that had the folks in the studio here cracking up, and that I was talking about the State of the Union and how the people were getting all bent out of shape about how Representatives Omar and Tlaib were pushing back verbally, audibly, when Trump started trash talking them. And I said, everybody's losing their mind and getting their undies in a bundle. But I didn't see the same sort of pushback, or at least taking people out of the hall, out of the location, like they took out Representative Green when Marjorie T. and I said the expert at theater hand jays. I kept it clean, Jody, because I didn't. I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression, but because we all know that yours truly has a very salty mouth and personality. I just don't let it go on over on the air. But I work really hard to not say certain things that are running through my mind. And one of my wife's really good lifelong friends has said to her, "I know Richard." And I love it when he trips over himself trying not to say curse words. So anyhow, gosh, what a week. I know where to start, but I don't want to start there. But we're going to start there anyhow, because why not? can we just leave Hillary Clinton the blank alone?
Yeah.
I mean, can we just leave her alone? The hypocrisy around, but here's what's great about this. And great is maybe not the best word. Here's what's going to be interesting about this. It'll be, we take back the House, and God willing, we take back the Senate, and we keep growing these state legislative, winning these state legislative races across the country. We keep doing that. And then in November, December, January next year, the Democrats have an opportunity, and I sure as hell hope they take it. And that's to subpoena people that are part of this administration. And the one person that I can't wait for them to subpoena somewhere down the road, we don't know exactly when it would be, is Melania Trump.
Yeah.
Because they've set the precedent now, right, guys?
They certainly have.
I mean, they've set the precedent. So let's drag her, because she's going to have to work really hard on showing us which of those 5 languages she's going to choose. I mean, Jody, which one do you want to hear her speak and respond to when somebody like, I don't know, let's see, Cory Booker decides to lean into...
She'll speak her native tongue, Slovenia.
Are we sure that's her native tongue, or is it something else?
I think her native tongue is BS. I think her native tongue must be BS, because we know that Donald Trump, that's all he speaks. I love how Zoran Mondani got over on Donnie yesterday too. Did y'all see that?
He's a master at this. For all the people that had something to say about him, where they were trash talking him for this, that, or the other, old boy is bringing the heat. And he's doing it in a way where people you can't.
Well, he brought the props too.
Yeah, he
I
did.
guess this is so Hillary kicked their ass. Zoran kicked their ass. They still don't even recognize it.
They ain't got no booty left, man. I mean, seriously.
Well, for those people who missed it, so Hillary testified yesterday, middle of the hearing. What you were referring to with the hand was Lauren Boebert handed a picture digitally to one of the right-wing propagandists during the middle of the hearing, and that blew everything up for 20 minutes or something on that like that. Hillary the whole time was like, okay, fine, you want to do that? Let's bring the media in. Let's go. And they're like, wait. So the picture of her is, we put it up yesterday in yesterday's news collage at thepoliticsbar.com, and she got that same look that she did back when she was testifying for 11 hours, and just that really, are serious? Are we done yet? Are we?
I got something to do. I do have a. I got a massage.
Just to wash her hair.
Yeah, let me. You know what, Jody? That's what. This is what she was probably thinking. I got to get out of here because it's disgusting. I got to get away from these people.
They was asking her about UFOs. They were asking her about all kind of, and she's like, right. Karen's like, are you freaking kidding me?
No. Here's the thing, and Karen, you grab the mic on this. What she and Bill wanted, which the Republicans know that they can't handle, because it would turn into, if they had actually were to have it be a truly, aired live testimony, what would happen is not only would Bill and Hillary individually and collectively combined just roast them because of their legal acumen, their experience, their common sense, all the rest. Setting that aside for a minute, this is the other part, and Karen, you speak to this. It would have then put on Front Street all of the things about their boy that they don't want to be heard in public.
Absolutely. Right.
Karen.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we already know what would have happened if they had Hillary. She testified for Benghazi 11 hours with no bathroom break. That was essentially the ending of the Benghazi investigations. That put a complete stop to it. That's exactly how it would have played out. They would have been able to get up there, and they would have been, to your point, talk about Donald Trump and all of the, times that he's in the missing files. I mean, that couldn't have happened in and I mean, but Melania, I fully expect that if Melania comes in to testify, if that ever were to happen, she would plagiarize Hillary Clinton's statement.
She would. You're right.
That's
right.
right.
I mean, it's possible. Although I love Hillary's presser at the end, where she just she kind of walks out and just, all right, well, blah, blah, blah. And she was telling them, okay, so they asked me this, they asked me, and then they asked me the same stupid ass question a whole bunch of time. And when they were done asking the same dumbass questions, then they asked me questions about UFOs, and you're sitting there going.
Pizzagate, too. They asked her about Pizzagate.
Yeah.
Right. What the?
And this is your money at play. I mean, they're taking our money, using our money to do this.
Well, speaking of which, that's the whole thing. That's the other thing with Ma'am Danny that was mentioning. So he goes yesterday to the White House to talk to Donnie, because I guess there is a public-private thing that they're doing, possibly working on housing stuff that Ma'am Danny had suggested, and of course, because Donald the builder, I want to build this thing, whatever. Yeah, I know. I saw the look, Karen. That's my feeling too. But here's the thing. Rich is laughing about it. He's like, you know. So here's the thing. So Mom Danny knows this. He knows how Donald works. When he came in yesterday, first of all, it wasn't on the public schedule, so the media couldn't have a tantrum about it. Right. Secondly, he comes in. He has props. He has fake daily news. Remember the old, what was it? Ford tells city to go to hell or something like that. Mm-hmm. He had that one, and then he had another one that says, Donnie tells city to build. Mm-hmm. And so now there's this picture of Donald holding these up, grinning like he's some, 5-year-old with this picture. Look what I did in kindergarten. Mom Danny's just standing there next to him like, yeah, because Donald's like, oh, yeah, now I'm going to put all the public money into this. I'm going to help. And Zoran's like, Oh, and then, by the way, since your DHS happened to get one of my people, did that whole fake thing, went in and stole a student out of a university there in New York City. And Zoran's like, yeah, would you let her go? And literally before he was back in New York, he was on the train, wasn't even back. And Donnie calls him, is like, yeah, she's out. I let her out. That's good. And I'm sitting there going, that is how you get things done. That's how. Yeah,
he got so played, and what it shows is how those who understand how to work him do it, and they do it masterfully. And the lesson I'm hoping that Dems can pull from this is we need to wash, rinse, and repeat in our own way as best we can without, looking like we're bending the knee, but to get some of the things that we want. And also, I think it also showed how you can go around him if you're prepared. And I think that one of the things that's missing sometimes from some of the journalists, some of the people in corporate media, is not being prepared for what is going to be his normal way of interacting with the media. Same thing with Caroline Leavitt. You know what she's going to do. She's going to touch her cross. She's going to purse her lips, and then she's going to come at people that are there in the press conference. Mandami came prepared to deal with all of the possibilities, and the prop thing was like, wow. Who on his staff said, this is how we're going to go in and make this happen? But I thought it was great. Guys, we're going to take a tiny little break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we're hanging out with the trifecta, the Politics Bar, and Karen Byrne. I did it. Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics Podcast. We'll be right back.
Experience matters, especially when it comes to public safety. I'm Amy Johnson, and I've spent more than 20 years serving Kane County. I began my career on patrol, worked as a detective, Kane County Major Crime Supervisor, served as Chief of Staff, and now proudly serve as Undersheriff. That experience gives me a full understanding of the job, the budget, and the serious responsibility that comes with leading a sheriff's office. I know that public safety isn't just about enforcement, it's about accountability, transparency, and working in partnership with the community. I believe in supporting deputies and staff, using taxpayer dollars responsibly, and making decisions that keep Kane County safe while treating everyone with dignity and respect. Today and into the future, I'm focused on strengthening trust, building community partnerships, and ensuring Kane County remains a safe place to live, work, and raise a family. This election, vote for Amy Johnson for Kane County Sheriff. Early voting has begun. The primary is March 17th.
Paid for by friends of Amy Johnson.
Robin Kelly grew up behind the register in her dad's grocery store.
so she knows what it means when the same groceries cost more each week. Under Donald Trump, corporations get tax breaks, loopholes, and a green light to price gouge. Families get higher grocery bills, higher childcare costs, high healthcare premiums. It's Trump's economy. Corporate profits first, people last. In Congress, Robin Kelly's been fighting back. Robin took on insurance companies to lower drug costs. She wrote the law extending Medicaid for new moms to a full year because cutting care after 60 days was just wrong. And now Robin Kelly is running for Senate with a people over profits agenda. Medicare for all, so healthcare isn't a ripoff. Cap on childcare costs so families can work. And crack down on corporate price gouging so you're not punished at every turn. People over profits. Robin Kelly for U.S. Senate.
I'm Robin Kelly, Democrat running for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Robin Kelly for Senate.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
He's not here to yell. He's here to inform and maybe stir the pot. This is Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. And I've got a lot of help today stirring the pot. We have our great friend, TruBlu Politics podcast host, Karen Byrne, also known as Karen from Chicago, as well as the great Shawn Smith Peirce and none other than Jody Hamilton from the Politics Bar. I mean, I'm rolling in the deep, y'all. Christmas Day, twice in one week.
Man, you got great people on the show. I when I am walking my dog, oftentimes in the morning out here in the DC area, I got you on my earphones, which is good. So that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun actually, being with you on WCPT because Jody and I are on WCPT later. We will be on with Karen later this evening. Actually.
I know. Yes, that's right. We wake up with Karen today and we teeter
go
off
to bed
into
with
sleep.
Karen tonight. I'm just saying. If you go to, depending on what time you go to sleep, this is, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying.
Inevitably, our discipline was going to fail us there. So as good as we're trying to be.
I get to end my day every day. Well, every weekday with Jody, and then I have to explain that to my wife.
Yeah.
Well, the Patty Vasquez, who hosts in the evening from 5 to 7, says oftentimes I wake up in the morning. With Richard every weekday morning, so I take a lot of pride in that. And Jody, listen, Jody's a ninja.
Yes, she is.
Jody's a ninja, y'all. Here's
She's
why.
everywhere.
Because Jody's everywhere. I mean, I will all of a sudden, and Shawn, you know what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, Jody will post something. You're like, damn, girl. When you sleeping? And it's just cracking me up.
She's a goth ninja.
Whoa.
Exactly.
I will get something, and it's 11 o'clock, at nighttime in Chicago, and I'm like, okay, well, if I see something Jody posts, it's at 9 o'clock in California. But then if I see something at 4:30 in the morning, I'm like, whoa. So yeah, Jody's that ninja that's always out there keeping us plugged in.
She's also up. She gets up so early.
Yeah, I get up around 1:30.
1:30, man. What time do you go to bed then, Jody?
That's none of our business.
I mean, I'm not asking what you do in the bed. I'm asking
around 4.
4. Wow.
Around 4.
Wow, that's amazing.
Unless it's a day where she gets to hang out with somebody really, really cool like she did this week.
Well, talk to us about that, Jody.
Do tell.
Zach Walls. Do you guys remember him?
Zach Walls
from Iowa.
Oh yes.
He's got the 2 mommies.
Yes.
There was a fundraiser for him because he's running for Joni Ernst's seat in Iowa. And so a friend of ours knows him. And so he was here in Los Angeles. He was in Palm Springs yesterday, but he was here on Wednesday night.
Yep.
And so it was from 5 to 6:30, and we didn't get home until 7. I was so tired yesterday.
Wow. 3 hours past your bedtime.
Zach is great. He's a good state senator for Iowa
he's
now, and he's running for U.S. Senate from Iowa. Iowa's got some good candidates. Rob Sand running for governor there too. And then of course we got primaries next week. You're going to be hanging out with Anderson Clayton, I believe.
Yeah,
Richard.
This weekend it's going to be.
They got primaries Tuesday. Next Tuesday there.
Yeah,
and primaries in Texas. Coming up real quick. Is that next Tuesday as well?
It's next Tuesday as well. Yeah. Well, here's the thing about them. Yes, and I'm going to be down in
Illinois.
In Illinois. Yeah, I'm going to be down in North Carolina this weekend doing a town hall with Anderson Clayton as part of this event that we're putting on for their state candidates, but also we've got a couple people. The mayor from Raleigh will be there. From Durham, I should say, will be there. The point of all this is where, as I've been saying for a long, long time, we have to take back the state legislatures because they are the foundation of what happens on a federal level. We've got some great mayors throughout the country, obviously right here in Chicago with Mayor Johnson. We've got
he
Mayor
was
Bass.
out here, Tuesday, Mayor Johnson gave a good speech at one of the alternates State of the Union events.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of great local leaders, but we've got some great state leaders. And the more we take back those chambers of power, the stronger I think our federal opportunities will be, because then that becomes the platform, the springboard, I should say, for the people that are running, that have been in the state office, and then now they're running for a federal office because they know how to get stuff done on a local level.
Yeah.
They know how to make that, you know what I mean? And so we have, all of us, the four of us and all the rest of us that do some of this work, the opportunity to promote them. And that's one of the reasons that, I'm really excited about going down to North Carolina to do this, because it's something that I felt was necessary. And, the station was behind it. And the people down there have been behind it in terms of the Democratic Party. More opportunities like this all over the country. The more we can do this, guys, the more we take back incremental. These incremental wins just keep happening,
And what we're seeing in Texas right now is amazing.
Yeah.
The turnout down there from Democratic voters is just like double, right? It's off the charts, really.
It's great.
And at the same time, Republicans are down in Texas are screaming and punching each other because they've got the potentially worst candidate for Senate, their current AG, who looks like he may get his ass beat by Jasmine Crockett, which I'm like, oh, please, 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 please. And then you got Rep. Tony Gonzalez, House Rep down there, and of course they got primaries coming up next Tuesday, and of course he's going to be running, and he's going to end up getting the Republican nomination for that House seat there, which means he's going to be running on a platform of I abused my, what do you want to call it, mistress, who was married to somebody else so bad that she killed herself by setting herself on fire. Right. And her widower husband says he has a whole boat ton of text messages and things that haven't even come out yet that he's going to drop in the general. So Gonzalez he's dead in the water.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he just should resign at this point.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
He should resign.
Nancy Mace, I saw a clip that she's going after him. She's calling
so
for
is Lauren Boebert.
Yeah. And, but
so
this
wait a minute, Jody. Are you saying Lauren Boebert is giving here? No, I'm not.
She's lending a hand.
She's lending it.
Well, maybe she's
going to lend both hands. I'm going to let you do that. I didn't want to say that myself. But,
but this is the thing that, I mean, of course, I have so many problems with Nancy Mace. But the reality of the situation, and Politics Girl put out an amazing video this past week, just talking about women and the power of women. And if and Richard, you were speaking earlier about coalitions. We have to build some coalitions because if they know that if they can divide us, they can conquer us. Right. And so, honestly, there's an opportunity, I think, with this, particularly with the Epstein files, that women can start taking our power back if we just recognize, who is the oppressor here and who's trying to hurt us, right?
The thing that we all have to be kind of careful about in this space, and I'm agreeing with you and I'm adding to rather than taking away from, you all have heard this phrase that all skin folks ain't kin folks. And it's referencing when someone that's African American steps into this craziness that is out of MAGA and all the things that are happening. And the same thing is true when we see women like Nancy Mace or other women suddenly like yelling loudly, this is bad, this is bad. Well, shut up. We told you it was a long time ago, and you still voted and stood behind, which is why I didn't go head first into loving on Liz Cheney. I was like, great, if you can get some votes, cool, but I know how many times you voted with the president at the time that harmed people. So Nancy Mace can go kick rocks.
Well,
because all she's saying is what Jody and Karen have been saying as women for a long time.
That's
so we don't need Nancy Mace.
No, we definitely don't. And I mean, in the reality, she's the one that's been pushing that trans women are a danger, a risk to your daughters. Are you kidding me?
Go sit down, Nancy Mace.
Yeah.
Look, we say it at the politics bar all the time, where it's like, you can ride the bus, but you cannot drive.
That's it.
In respect to like the Epstein Transparency Act, she was on board with it, and we were like, great, that's fine. That's so was Marjorie Taylor Greene, so was Lauren. So we're like, that's great.
You know
You
what?
want to hop on for that one issue, but we're not going to give them a free pass on everything just because you hopped on with one issue. Well, one issue, great, congrats that you helped, but there's a whole other pile of stuff that you got coming behind you. You got a lot of baggage, and there ain't enough room for all that.
And
you got a seat, but
we
ain't got the
told
baggage
you
room.
anyhow. It's like it's not like you suddenly made it. This is how they present it, which cracks me up. Like, oh, we're the new experts on this. We know more about it than you do. Blah 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 blah.
That's
blah.
because they're Republicans, and the media makes them the experts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they know they've lost on those issues because they were wrong.
They're wrong about everything.
Right. So now they need to make it look like we're the ones that are holding the line in this space. Talking about that, let's come to one other thing that we all can chime in on before we wrap up, and that is Trump's medical appointment for. Surgeon General.
Surgeon General?
Come on.
Yeah. Oh God, that one.
Jody, you the baton is to you. You are in the anchor leg of this, so you get to take us home on that one.
I'm more qualified than she is to be the Surgeon General at this point.
That's
Because
right.
I watch medical dramas. I mean, seriously, it's like she doesn't have an active license. She's a influencer. Which I hate that phrase so much.
I'm with you.
And she's claims that vaccines are okay, but just talk to your doctor about it, not mandating vaccinations for children, especially when they go to school, because that's for the greater good, people. It's not just for your kid. It's for everybody, especially those children that can't get vaccinated. They need to be protected by those of us that can be vaccinated. And for her to just be very Kennedy about it, saying, talk to your doctor. Of course you talk to your doctor, and guess what your doctor's going to say? Get vaccinated.
Right.
Right.
It's crazy, Shawn. I know you got some thoughts about this one too.
No, it is. Look, she's a nut, and the fun thing is seeing some of God. What is his name? The doctor who actually was the guy who he's a senator, and he keeps getting beat up about the fact. Yeah, it's the one. Yeah, I couldn't remember. Bill Cassidy, and he was actually grilling her pretty hard because you can tell that Cassidy's like, I am. You got me once. I'm not getting. You cannot get me a second time with this one, RFK Jr.
Well, he's quick on the uptake.
I don't think that she will make it through, which is good. I think the important thing from this whole week is looking. You're talking, Richard, about coalitions. Not a damn person I know can remember anything that Donald Trump, even if they watched the State of the Union, they can't remember a damn thing he did. But what they remember is the fact that you had everybody. I mean, you had the Lincoln Project people, the conservative non-Trumpers. They had a thing. There was the state of the state of the people on the mall. There was the state of the swamp that had everywhere from left to right, the broad left, as we say at the politics bar. There was the great speech given by Governor Abigail Spanberger. There was the speech in Spanish given by Senator Padilla. It was such a coalition of everybody in America, the majority of us saying, we don't need this orange jackass to tell us what the State of the Union is. We will tell each other, and then we're going to work for it. And I went, you know what? Yeah, that's not bad. We don't need him. We don't need that orange jerk.
That's where we are. Guys, it is always cool to hang out with you. And you know, the chuckles that I told everybody there was going to be a lot of laughs and chuckles because that's just how the four of us roll. So if anybody was offended by that, look in the mirror.
Get the rod out of your A-star.
Get the rod out of the rod.
Exactly.
That phrase comes from my late mother. She used to say, if you got a problem with something, go look in the mirror. And I'm you know, so Bertha Chu gets the points on
Your
that
mama
one.
was right.
She was. Shawn, great to see you, my man, and hang out.
Great to
Jody,
see you,
as always, great to see you. And say hi to Lonnie for us.
I will.
And we're going to take a quick break. Thanks for being with us, guys. Look forward to seeing you again in a few weeks.
Karen, we'll see you at the bar tonight.
We'll see you later, Karen.
773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
WCPT Radio is going to Will County to meet and interview Will County Democrats running in the March 17th primary. Meet me, WCPT's Joan Esposito, and Will County Democrats Thursday, March 5th at Mojo's Cajun and Caribbean restaurant located on Lockport Avenue, 1 block west of Route 59 in downtown Plainfield. Candidates being interviewed include Will County Undersheriff Dan Jungles running for Will County Sheriff, Michelle Stiff running for Will County Clerk, School District Superintendent Teresa Rouse running for Regional Office of Education Superintendent, and several county board candidates. Will County Democratic candidates will be interviewed live on the Joan Esposito Show. It's all happening Thursday, March 5th from 2 to 5 p.m. at Mojo's in Plainfield. For directions, call Mojo's at 815-230-2790.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. The owners of Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream, Magnum Ice Cream Company, is currently silencing them. Now, why would they silence Ben & Jerry's? Oh yeah, that's right, because they were speaking negatively about the Trump administration, and even prevented the company from releasing a flavor titled Peace in Gaza. Ben Cohen, the co-founder of Ben & Jerry's, has started a hashtag Free Ben & Jerry's to get their rights to speech back. Magnum Ice Cream Company owns several brands, so instead of talking about the brands that they own, let's talk about some ice cream companies that they don't own that are all for free speech. Johnny Pops, Dove Ice Cream, Tillamook, Häagen-Dazs. And for those of you who prefer frozen yogurt, Stonyfield. And if you still want to give Ben & Jerry's a chance, that's up to you. But make sure you only buy Ben & Jerry's and none of the other brands owned by Magnum Ice Cream Company. So maybe, just maybe, then they'll realize that people like their ice cream without a side of fashion. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A dense fog advisory remains in effect. High temperatures reach up to 62, with fog in spots early today under mainly sunny skies. Winds out of the southwest 10 to 20 miles per hour. Mainly clear again tonight, lows around 31. A dusting of snow tomorrow with another 1 to 2 inches Sunday night. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, 30.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
He's not here to yell. He's here to inform and maybe stir the pot. This is Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
It's Christmas. It's Christmas. I have had a fun time this morning hanging out with our good friend Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics Podcast. It's always great to hang out with Karen. And then, of course, you guys just heard that Jody Hamilton and Shawn were here with the Shawn Peirce from the Politics Bar. And they have a great show that airs on WCPT Monday through Friday in the evening. And Karen will be hanging out with them later on today. So that's what they meant by waking up with Karen and then, into the day with Karen and keep it clean. Christmas keeps going for me because you guys know how I am about my professors and I shouldn't say how I am about professors and how I am about educators. Professor Kevin Schultz has been with us a number of times in the last few months, and it's an honor because we always learn something new, which is the goal of when you're sitting in a classroom, is to hopefully be prepared to learn something new. He is a professor and chair of the Department of History at University of Illinois at Chicago. Good morning, Professor Schultz, and welcome back to Chew's Views.
Good morning, Richard. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I got to ask you this question, though. What are you doing with that L.A. ball cap? Am I looking at that the right way, or are my eyes messing with me?
No, you're right. I mean, I have roots. I grew up in Los Angeles. My parents live in the same house where I was born 50 years later.
I'm just messing
with you. So
I'm
just celebrating World Series after World Series. I would love to root for a Chicago team. If they would just make it past my Dodgers,
Well, listen, that's a whole nother conversation about what you just said. I would love to root for fill in the blank, but maybe we can find a way for you and I to put together a little documentary on the history of sports in Chicago. Lord have mercy! Right now, what a turmoil.
Or Northern Indiana. The way things are looking.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, Doc, good to be with you. Thanks for taking some time out this morning.
Look at me, I'm throwing bombs already. It's 7:30 in the morning.
Hey, you know what? That's the world we live in. We got to be ready to throw them and catch a few every now and again so that we can stay in this fight. I was talking about coalitions, and I'm going to kind of rewind a little bit to something that we talked about before, that we introduced kind of at the beginning of the year, that really a lot of people were surprised that you had put together. But once they started to dig in, some of the responses that I got, people were like, wow, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the rule of 60. And remind our audience again, because people all over the country are like, what? Of what you put together, why you put it together, and then between you, me, and Karen, we'll chop it up a little bit, because it's really just an amazing bit of work. Let's talk about the rule of 60.
Yeah, so the rule of 60, thanks for introducing it. It really came out of conversations I had with Americans all across the country. I was promoting my most recent book, which is how Richard and I first met, because I'm shamelessly promoting this book called Why Everyone Hates White Liberals, Including White Liberals, A History. And as I've been going around the country talking to Americans about this book, about the fate of liberalism, and about how liberalism used to represent the center of American politics, but starting in the 60s, 70s, even a little earlier than that, people from the left and from the right started to attack liberalism in order to sort of grow their own coalition and their own party, to the point where now today there is no center of American politics, and all we hear about is voices from the left and voices from the right, and the middle has a really hard time getting any traction. So as I'm going around the country talking about my book, people said, Professor Schultz, is there any middle? Is there something that we all agree on? Because it certainly seems like we all disagree more than we agree on things. So I dug down into some of the exercises I did in my classrooms with students. And I said, actually, most Americans actually believe in some sort of centrist ideas if you look at them issue by issue. So the example I always give has to do with abortion. If you ask Americans, are you pro-life or pro-choice, which are sort of highly politicized language, you get something like 51% of Americans say that they're pro-choice and 46% say they're pro-life, and you get this sort of polarized split. But if you ask them a deeper question, saying, what do you mean when you say that you're pro-life or pro-choice? It turns out, in fact, that only 13% of Americans, 13%, say that abortion should be illegal at all times. And something like 29% say that abortion should be legal the full 9 months, the full 3 trimesters of a pregnancy. But instead, you get in the middle this sort of common sense that this is what Americans believe. About 60% of Americans believe that abortion should be legal in the first trimester at a mother's choosing, and then illegal in the second and third trimester unless the life of the mother or the baby is at risk. So you get this 60%. It's sort of in the shape of a bell, this curve, where you have some on the extreme left, some on the extreme right, but in the middle you get this rule of 60 is what I called it, and you remembered it, so it must be a catchy phrase. So I'm going through issue by issue. How do Americans feel about Black people? How do Americans feel about college? How do Americans feel about Jews? How do Americans feel about economic inequality? How do Americans feel about Social Security, national service? And over again, what I'm finding is this sort of rule of 60. Some people say no way, some people say absolutely, but in the middle, you get this sort of hump of American opinion that shows that there is this centrist belief in American life. It's kind of surprising to me. And on some issues, the American population is farther to the left than our political spectrum would have us believe. For instance, on economic inequality, huge percentages of Americans, way more than 60%, want the federal government to be more redistributive in how the government works. They want to tax billionaires. They want fewer billionaires to exist. And they want to push that money that those billionaires have back into the middle class. But on some issues, say, maybe immigration or gun safety, the American population is probably a little bit more to the right of where the Democratic Party would be. So it's not exactly one party owns the center. There's a lot of room for some politician to grab onto these middling beliefs that are what I call the rule of 60.
It's fascinating work, and it goes back. The word that I wrote down, and it ties into what I was saying earlier, is coalition and collective work together. And I know that a lot of times people don't want to hear that because some of the response that I get is that people think that I'm saying it from the perspective of having these sort of kumbaya moments and, we can come together. Yeah, we have to, because if we don't, I mean, one of the things that I would say that the right has really, really cornered the market on is divisiveness. And I'm not saying that the left isn't a participant in it as well. Don't get me wrong. I think that the right and their messaging machine and their operatives behind the scene have really figured out that their winning strategy starts with how can we create division on this issue, whatever it might be, where we are going after that part of the bell curve or that other than the 60%, that we really want to drill down on that. But that group doesn't seem to be growing. I'm seeing the more growth coming from we have to work together. We have to find ways to pull together. And we don't have to fully agree on everything all the time, but we've got to agree on this one thing. And it's not even about saving democracy per se. It's about finding ways to solve these big problems that we all are facing. And I see that that's why, coming back to coalition, it's so important right now. What are your thoughts there as it relates to the rule of 60?
Well, let me give you a real example of what you just said. We all sort of know that immigration is a hot button issue, and most Americans don't want to open borders, and most Americans don't want to close borders, but most Americans want some reasonable pathways to citizenship for immigrants. They want to have more expansive immigration. They believe in the American dream, and they want to expand the American dream. That's what most Americans believe at the rule of 60. So to get to your point, in 2024, the House of Representatives actually passed a law on immigration reform that did really smart, sensible rule of 60 kinds of things. Let's grow the number of judges that can administrate over refugee cases. Let's cut down the wait times for people to be processed at the borders. Let's give a pathway to citizenship for the dreamers or for other people who have been here for decades without committing any crimes. They're good taxpayers who want to be part of the American dream. And it actually was en route to being passed as an American law. Mm-hmm. But of course, this timed with the 2024 election. So Donald Trump came in. So it's not necessarily Republicans, Democrats, although the Republicans did what Trump did. But I think it's this MAGA divisiveness that has taken over the Republican Party. Trump came in and said, we can't give Joe Biden and the Democrats a win on this issue. And this is the issue I'm going to hammer home in 2024 in the election. So you cannot allow this to pass. And so then the law, which had already halfway gone towards passage, was tanked in the Senate, and it no longer, didn't become law. And it became, as we know, the cornerstone of Trump's pathway to the presidency, leading to the sort of ICE riots that we're having now and the activation and all the sorts of divisiveness that you're speaking to. So there are these efforts to build coalitions. I actually believe some politicians and even some Republicans on both sides of the aisle want to move forward on behalf of the public good. But I think the Republicans have become so afraid of the MAGA authoritarian movement that they're unwilling to do what they know is right. But these are weird coalitions like you're talking about on common sense ideas that more than 60% of Americans believe. And if they can push past politics, we actually could have some good laws put into place.
And I think that it's, if we don't keep pushing this conversation, that you're saying it with the rule of 60. Maya Angelou said that, in her wonderful way, that we have more in common than we have not alike. That it is going to be, if you think about it from maybe a spiritual perspective, irrespective of religion, but just from a universal spiritual perspective, it is exactly how worlds divide. It is or what worlds come apart is when one voice, and oftentimes, Professor, it's a minority voice that gathers enough momentum to capture the message where people start to think it's majority thinking. And in this case, divisiveness is that word that, again, Republicans seem to have captured a way of messaging that very, very well, to the point where you would think that 60% of the country wants to be divided. Isn't that just kind of a weird irony?
Yeah, it's strange, and it speaks to the power of charisma in political leaders. If you have political leaders with certain charisma who provide a way for Americans to sort of envision a different future than they're currently living in, and they're speaking to sort of the plight of today and a promise for tomorrow, that is incredibly powerful. And it's not owned by one side of the political divide. I mean, certainly President Donald Trump is charismatic to his people who, would go to great lengths to support him, even to their own demise in a lot of ways. But someone like Barack Obama was also incredibly charismatic. And he's coming out of the prophetic tradition of the Black church, which was not necessarily, celebrating the life and death of Jesus Christ, but speaking to the prophets who told us that we're all filled with original sin and that the arc of justice might not always go in the direction we want it to, and we need to make great sacrifices. Now, you don't need to be religious to buy into that. I mean, Martin Luther King's great strength was to speak to people who were religious and also those who were not religious. But if you want to buy into the notion that people inherently are complicated people, have greed, have some version of sin and desire to do good just for themselves and not for others, and we need to overcome that, there might be a pathway towards building coalitions premised on the notion that the future is something we have to fight for. And I think actually that's what we're seeing today in the streets of Minneapolis. That's what we saw in Chicago back when it was activated, in Los Angeles, where my LA Dodgers are from. We saw all these fights going on. And I do sense that people do have a prophetic notion of what is right, and that the act of justice is something that needs to be fought for and will not just be given.
Right now, Professor Schultz, one of the big concerns, I know it's on your mind and it's on everybody's mind, and Karen, you can chime in on this as well, is voting rights and sort of where we go in this conversation around national voting rights, nationalizing the elections. I don't know if you've got any data. I haven't seen any data that supports that the greater number of Americans want to nationalize our elections and have in this conversation around national voting rights. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the sort of things that I'm following very closely as an existential crisis of democracy. I think there's plenty of terrible things going on by our federal government right now, but preserving democracy is the one that I'm watching most closely. And this voting rights and the sort of gerrymandering cases that we've seen over the last year are really something that I'm watching very, very closely. So on the question of National Voting Rights Act, something Donald Trump has talked about in the last 6 weeks or 2 months or something like that, it's a reverse rule of 60, where more than 60% of Americans don't want National Voting Rights Act, and they want the president to adhere to the Constitution, which of course gives voting rights decisions to each individual state. That's crystal clear in the American Constitution. I do think he's trying to build a case. It's pretty clear that there is a crisis of corruption in our voting at the state level, and there's all sorts of stolen elections going on. And the only way Democrats win, he says, is through corruption and through stealing elections and stuff like that. That generally does not have a lot of traction among the American population, but it does animate his 20% of Americans who provide the MAGA base. So he's sort of torn by, does he just want to speak to his base and not create coalitions while he's alienating the rest of the American population? Can he win? This is a political calculation that he's making. Now, American history is chock full of examples of people trying to curtail the voting rights, most especially of Black people through the course of its history. But even if you look at it sort of broader than just a racial lens, in the beginning of American history, only white landholders were deemed to have vested interest in voting rights. Mm-hmm. So it was only white people who owned land could vote at the time of the birth of the American Republic. That expanded almost immediately after the passage of the Constitution, as each state went around and gave more white people who didn't own land votes, sort of the poorer white folks. And that extended even in some cases to women and to Black people, although that was always incredibly contentious. Then, as you know, Black men got the vote after the bloody and awful 4 years of fighting for the Civil War, only to be curtailed by the passage of Black codes in the southern states almost immediately after the Civil War. And then eventually there were all sorts of battles, including the U.S. military having to stay in the southern states for 12 years after the Civil War to ensure that black people could exercise their right to vote. It was a beautiful thing, by the way, Richard. You know this history, but from 1865 to 1877, black men would dress up in their military regalia. They would do practice votes to ensure everybody knew where the polls were. They would show them what the ballots looked like. They would celebrate American democracy in these pageants. There were posters put up all over town. It was this magnificent display of American democracy, which was after 1877 and the compromise of this contested presidential election, which led to the American military being pulled out of the South, that allowed Jim Crow to be put in place. So it was this amazing exercise of democracy, and then this imposition of the majority white rule that led black people to lose the right to vote, which is something that we saw sort of try and be rectified in the Civil Rights Movement with the Voting Rights Act and with all sorts of passages of the 24th, 25th Amendments. But then women got the right to vote, and then voting was lowered from the age 21 to 18 so young people could have a right to vote. So in the American sort of project, we've seen all sorts of contestations over voting rights. Generally, it's a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of exercise. And I think right now there's attempts to be made that are pushing this 1 step back by the defanging of the Civil Rights Act of 1965 that is allowing states to redraw their lines in some ways. And I think that I'm not alone. I think lots of Americans are recognizing this as the existential moment for democracy. Do we want democracy to survive? We need to have fair elections. That is a cornerstone of what democracy is. And I think that is really animating the American population in similar ways to immigration enforcement. And I think people see that. So I do think that we're talking about the rule of 60 on this issue of voting rights. Donald Trump is underwater on it. And we saw his State of the Union address. He was really just trying to animate his base, set the terms for these midterms, because he knows if he loses these midterms, which is what every indicator suggests that it's going to be, this fight will continue. He will lose the ability to enact the kinds of changes that he wants. And the key to that is by changing the Voting Rights Act. And that's what he's trying to do.
And Karen, you've been one to speak out about the FACE Act and how
the Save Act.
The Save Act. Thank you, not the FACE Act. The Save Act. And you've got a couple of thoughts there as it relates to, being a woman and where this, where this takes us in relationship to what Professor Schultz just said about the history of voting in America.
And this, just listening to the history, that is such an important history to put out there for people, because the largest voting bloc in this country are people that don't show up. They disenfranchise themselves and their voices, right? So I think it is extremely important to really have these conversations about what they are trying to do with the SAVE Act, which, to my knowledge, at this point is dead.
Yeah.
But they're not going to stop. They told us they weren't going to overturn Roe, okay? And they went ahead and did it anyway. So, and what we're seeing in Georgia, when everything is projection with Donald Trump and the Republicans.
And that's what happened Tuesday night. It was to Professor Schultz's point. It was all about riling up, and projection of things versus anything that was really cohesive and coalition building.
So we have to.
President Schultz is fine.
President Schultz. Okay, I'm down with that.
So what we have to do is we have to rally, together, and women across this country have to understand if they are trying to take away your voice. They are trying to take away your right to vote. They're saying that if you took your husband's name and do not have the name that you were given at birth, that you may not be able to vote. And if you can vote, it's after jumping through all kinds of hoops, and you may not have the time to do that. And that affects conservative women. By and large, that affects more conservative women than liberal women. And so women need to understand that if they divide us, if they pit us against one another on marginalizing, certain groups, painting trans people as a danger to our children, when we know that the elite class and the Epstein elite class, they're the danger to our girls and our children, right?
Yeah.
this is where we can take our power back. And I think that's why, like with the stuff with the Epstein files and, pointing out what they're trying to do with the SAVE Act is essential.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Because if we vote, we win. Democrats win.
And I know we're getting close to the hour, but I did see an interesting article in The Atlantic that said it studied the voting rights ID laws, and it said that in the last 50 years, the losing mail-in ballots and things was definitely something that would hurt the Democratic Party. But the way that Trump has animated a certain segment of the American population, that if they do actually pass these laws, it will actually hurt Republicans as much, if not more, than Democrats, because Democrats have sort of been seeing this coming. I don't want to let anybody
off the hook,
their rights to fight for their ballots.
Right.
But it is an interesting turnaround that it actually might end up biting them in the butt rather than working in the way that they imagine it happening.
And particularly with when you talk about what black soldiers did, and what went through my mind is Souls to the Polls started then. In terms of the actual rallying of people, and more folks now are saying, you know what, I may have to get out. I may have to go out to vote and deal with it versus what happens if there is a change as it relates to mail-in balloting. So
can I say really quick, Mark Elias, go to Democracy Docket and support his work.
Yeah, that's true, without a doubt.
Please.
Wow. Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics podcast hanging out with us today. It's been Christmas for me all morning, hanging out with Professor Kevin Schultz, who is a professor and chair of the Department of History at the University of Illinois at Chicago and the author of the book, Why Everybody Hates White Liberals, Including White Liberals. It just makes me laugh, but I say that with love. Professor Schultz, thanks for hanging out with us today. Stay safe, have a great weekend, and we appreciate everything that you do.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Keep fighting the good fight.
You know we will. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks to Henry and Mike for keeping us on the rails, because we were doing a lot of stuff today. What can I tell you? Stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. And remember, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you next week.
Hi, I'm LaShawn K. Ford, and I'm running for Congress because I see what's happening in our communities every day. I see young people struggling to find opportunity. I see seniors working harder just to make ends meet, and I see families feeling squeezed by rising costs while Washington stays distracted. This Trump administration has brought chaos and corruption instead of real solutions. We need leadership that listens and delivers. As a state legislator, I've spent years fighting for working families, seniors, and communities that too often get left behind. That record is why I'm endorsed by Congressman Danny K. Davis, former U.S. Senator Roland Burst, former Congressman Bobby Rush, former Secretary of State Jesse White, and the Speaker of the Illinois House, Chris Welch. Make your plan to vote, and on your ballot, punch 31, paid for by LaShawn K. Ford for Congress.
Hey guys, this is Tara Devlin for the Political Voices Network. This is America, right? We don't do kings here. No crowns, no thrones, no authoritarian cosplay. That's why we created the No Kings American Flag pin. For the low price of $20.26, that's 2026, we're keeping our eye on the prize here. This well-crafted enamel pin is the standard 1-inch American flag lapel pin. But this one features the patriotic No Kings symbol that defines our rallying cry. It's your quiet way of signaling to other patriots that you believe in democracy, and yeah, that still matters. You can grab yours now at store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. That's store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com. The No Kings American Flag pin. Get it now at store.politicalvoicesnetwork.com.
In times of uncertainty, we need leaders who put country before party. Dan Telly answered that call, serving our nation with honor.
I served in the Army Reserve and as a federal civil servant. But when the Trump agenda threatened our democracy, I refused to stay silent. I left my job in Washington in protest of Trump's lawlessness.
Dan Telly is the only candidate with a detailed plan to hold Trump accountable, a veteran, a principled leader, and ready to fight for you.
Visit DanTully.com to see my comprehensive strategy for accountability. I'm Dan Tully, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Dan Tully for Congress.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now at Mattress Firm, upgrade to a Tempur-Pedic and learn how you can get 3% back plus an instant gift. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Amazon Business empowers leaders with smart business buying tools, leaving time to focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future at AmazonBusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. The AP's Lisa Dwyer reports on another drone incident in the airspace over Texas.
The U.S. military used a laser Thursday to shoot down a seemingly threatening drone flying near the U.S.-Mexico border. It turned out the drone belonged to Customs and Border Protection. The case of mistaken identity prompted the Federal Aviation Administration to close additional airspace 50 miles southeast of El Paso. The military is required to formally notify the FAA when it takes any counter-drone action inside U.S. airspace. It was the second time in 2 weeks that a laser was fired in the area. The last time, it was CBP that used the weapon and nothing was hit. This time, the closure was smaller and commercial flights were not affected. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Iran and the U.S. held hours of indirect negotiations yesterday in Geneva over Tehran's nuclear program, but walked away without a deal. Worries are growing over the danger of another Mideast war as the U.S. gathered a massive fleet of aircraft and warships in the region. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports that an AI company is rebuffing the Pentagon's demands.
Earlier this week, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave the maker of the AI chatbot Claude an ultimatum: open its artificial intelligence technology for unrestricted military use by Friday or risk losing its government contract. But CEO Dario Amodei says Anthropic cannot in good conscience accede to the Pentagon's demands. He says the company's not walking away from negotiations, but new contract language made virtually no progress on preventing Claude's use for mass surveillance of Americans or in fully autonomous weapons. The Pentagon says it has no interest in using AI for those purposes. Ben Thomas, Washington.
U.S. futures fell overnight. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Gethin Coolbaugh. Kevin Durant scored a season-high 40 points and became the sixth player in NBA history with 32,000 points in a 113-108 win over the Magic.
Always love being mentioned with the greats of all time.
Hornets guard Con Knippel broke the NBA rookie record for three-pointers in a season in only 59 games. College basketball, number 13 Michigan State upset number 8 Purdue 76-74. Braden Smith became the fifth D1 player with 1,000 career assists in the loss. Women's college hoops, number 1 UConn earned its 46th straight win, 84-52 over Georgetown. In golf, Austin Smotherman has a one-shot lead after a Cognizant Classic opening 62. NFL, the Jets traded Jermaine Johnson to the Titans for Tavondre Sweat, and the Colts gave QB Anthony Richardson permission to seek a trade.
I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A dense fog advisory remains in effect. High temperatures reach up to 62, with fog in spots early today under mainly sunny skies. Winds out of the southwest 10 to 20 miles per hour. Mainly clear again tonight, lows around 31. A dusting of snow tomorrow with another 1 to 2 inches Sunday night. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, 30.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Hi, I'm Pat Hines, candidate for Cook County Assessor. Cook County families deserve stability. not confusion and surprises. After 8 years of promised reform, taxpayers are still facing late bills, sudden tax spikes, and ongoing uncertainty. The Chicago Tribune uncovered hundreds of millions of dollars in property missing from the tax rolls, shifting the burden onto you. When assessments are wrong, families pay more than their fair share. It's time for accuracy. It's time for accountability.
Paid for by Heinz for Assessor.
Raise the bar on performance and style in a brand new Porsche from the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Browse and test drive our extensive selection, like the 2026 Porsche Macan. Right now, lease the 2026 Macan for only $949 a month for 39 months. Discover performance like no other when you visit the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. 8,519 to sign up for qualified buyers. Excludes tax, title, license, and doc fee. No security deposit required. Expires 3/2/26.
Stephanie Miller here. Let's talk digestion. Eat this. Don't eat that. Actually, forget that. Eat this instead. No wonder so many people feel bad after trying to eat healthy. Something we do 3 times a day can turn into a crapshoot, and we do not want to go there. Here's what I learned from the Tummy Whisperer. Even healthy eating can backfire. That's why I trust Renee Barish at Digestive Health Solutions. As a certified digestive health specialist, Renee helps people go beyond Dr. Google and figure out what's really going on. If you've cleaned your diet up with no change, or you feel worse with bloating, reflux, constipation, diarrhea, or low energy, Renee will help you make sense of it all. And without having to live on steamed vegetables and regret. With Renee's guidance, digestion can calm down, food can stop being a gamble, and your body can finally feel healthy. Visit thetummywhisperer.com or just call Renee at 847-207-2034. That's 847-207-2034. Let's get you feeling better.
Alexa, play WCPT.